everyone. Our group will be reporting on rural and urban development. Now, I will be discussing the rural development while my two colleagues will be reporting on urban development. So let's start. Let us define what is rural first. So, in general, a rural area or a countryside is a geographic area that is located outside towns and cities. So, a rural area is an open vast of land that has few homes or other buildings and not very many people lived in the area. So, the population density is very low in the rural area. So, we have here examples of pictures on rural areas. So you can see the vast of land, farmland, agricultural land. So here are the general characteristics of rural areas. First is a small population size or generally low population density. So I have already mentioned that earlier. And also a smaller choice when it comes to shopping, medical services, and so on. So our municipality here in Talibon, Bohol, has only one shopping mall. We're actually lucky to have one because there are towns who doesn't have a shopping mall. So we have one hospital. So we have also clinics, probably more than 2 or 3 clinics, dental clinics, and so on. And also a lower cost of living. That is actually true. So if you are going to compare the prices of our commodities here in the rural area, it's a bit lower or cheaper compared to the city. Lower wages and more poverty. So as a rural area, we do have a minimum income or minimum wage. So that is, if you have a family of probably 4 or more than that, that would not suffice. That would not be able to provide everything that your family needs. So that is why we have also poverty in rural areas. And we also have lots of nature and natural resources, farming and ranch land. So that's what I have shown you on the pictures. So that is what a rural area is all about. And an aging population. So let's go to rural development. What is rural development? It is the process of improving the quality of life and economic well-being of people living in rural areas, often relatively isolated and sparsely populated areas. Rural development has traditionally centered on the exploitation of land-intensive natural resources such as agriculture and forestry. So rural development is basically a program or an initiative to improve the livelihoods where the majority of people in poverty live. Now, the basic objective of rural development programs is to alleviate the people of or from poverty and unemployment through creation of basic social and economic infrastructure, and also implementing comprehensive development for people living in the rural areas. Now, rural areas can be beautiful and relaxing, but they also confront important challenges such as problems in the rural areas. So example of these problems are poverty, illiteracy, and unemployment. So in rural areas, there is low or little or lesser income compared to the urban areas because most people are engaged in only in minority jobs. So when we say minority jobs, these are farmers, fishermen. So they only get they only get to have an income, but not as higher income compared to the jobs in the urban areas. So there are even times when they wait for a certain season for their produce to have a higher demand. So that is only the time when they get a higher income or a bigger income. And also, if your family is not getting enough income, you won't be able to provide the needs of your family. Or if you can provide, you are only limited to the basic needs like food, clothes, and shelter. But what about their education? So if your children, or not being if you are not able to go to school, learn the basic literacy of reading, writing, and arithmetic. So that is illiteracy, and in result, you will not be able to get a job that would pay you higher. So that will result to either underemployment or unemployment. So if you are unemployed, if you don't have a job, you're not getting any income, so you don't have money to support yourself and your family. So it has been said that the world's poorest are found in the rural areas because economic opportunities are very much limited. So because of these, there are rural development programs that our government are initiating, or we also have non-government organizations who are doing these programs. First is we have the Agrarian Reform Program. So what is Agrarian Reform Program? So this is basically the redistribution of private and public agricultural lands to help the beneficiaries survive as small independent farmers regardless of tenureship. Its goals are to provide landowners equality in terms of income and opportunities, empower landowner beneficiaries to have equitable and land ownership as well. So enhance agriculture production and productivity, provide employment to more agricultural workers, and put an end to conflicts regarding land ownership. So the aim of this agrarian reform program is to promote social and economic equity for Filipino family and provide a sustainable development for people living in the rural areas. Next, we have Cooperatives Development Program. So this is a global initiative that is strengthening the capacity of cooperatives or cooperative businesses, credit unions, and cooperative ecosystems. So this is in partnership with the USAID's, or partnership with U.S. Cooperative Development Organizations. So we already know that cooperative is a group of people or an association. They voluntarily group themselves to be a member of these organizations to meet their common economic, social, and cultural needs. So I myself is also a member of a cooperative. So you have the chance to, you get to save in the cooperative. You also get to get a loan as well if you need this for business purposes or personal purposes. Okay, so we also have nutrition program. So nutrition program, this program provides an assistance at no cost to purchase supplemental nutritious food, education, and there are also times referrals to other agencies. Most of the people who are at health risk are pregnant, women, infants, and children. So these are the people who are eligible to participate on these nutrition programs. And we also have family planning. So family planning is to improve pregnancy planning and spacing, and also prevent unexpected pregnancy. So the purpose of this family planning is to make sure that any couple who has a child or children has the resources that are needed in order for them to provide their family. And these resources as a couple can explore as well for other options like natural birth or surrogacy or artificial insemination or adoption. So this is basically my report about rural development, and I uh, I was born in a rural area, but I also experienced living for quite some time in an urban area. So for me, I was able to compare the life in a rural and in an urban area. But as of this time, I appreciate living, or I love living in the rural area. It's because the cost of living is cheaper than the urban area. When it comes to crime, we have lesser crime here in the rural area. It's also stress free, unlike in the urban area where everything is being paid for. Like, you need to really have your income for you to be able to live. You can just ask freebies from anyone, from your neighbors. So unlike here in the rural area where you can grow your food, you can grow your vegetables, plants for your consumption. And again, it's stress free compared to the urban. So but there are pros and cons as well, because in the urban, um, the cost of living is higher, but there are like entertainment, there are bigger malls, there are a lot of choices. So that is if you have the money, or sufficient money, to buy things that you need and that you want. Okay. So I guess that would be all for my report. And again, my two colleagues will be the one to discuss on the urban development. So thank you so much for watching. This is Rosami S. Sereno reporting.
Good day everyone, I am Michelle Hudilia and I am going to report urban development. Okay, so this is a continuation report of Ma'am Sam Sereno. Okay, so let's start with this question. When we think of rural, we tend to imagine this, right? Instead of this. Okay, and then when we think of urban, we might imagine this instead of this, right? Okay, so now let's have a differentiation of rural life and urban life. But before that, let's define first again the rural area. So when we say rural area, it has a low population density, and the people living in that area has room for pets and animals, which will help to maintain the equilibrium of our nature, right? Okay, so now rural life, environment. So in environment, it has a close direct contact with nature, while in urban life, it has a greater isolation from nature, predominance of man-made artificial environment. Okay, and occupation in rural life, agricultural is the fundamental occupation, while in urban, no fundamental occupation. So most are engaged in manufacturing, mechanical pursuit, trade, commerce, non-agricultural occupation. And when we say in the density of population, so rural life has low density, while in the urban life, it has a size of community, and the size of the community is large in size. Okay, then the social differentiations, it has a low degree of social differences, while in urban life, it has a high degree of social differentiation. And then when we say in the standard of living, it has a low standard, while the urban life has a high standard of living. Okay, so now we will define urbanization. So what is urbanization? So urbanization, it is a predominantly the process by which towns and cities are formed and become larger as more people begin living and working in central areas. So it also refers to the population shift from rural to urban areas. Okay, so the gradual increase in the proportion of people living in urban areas. So the ways in which each society adapts to the change. Okay, so three major challenges in urbanization. So the first one challenges is the density. So it's pertain the growing population in which is not matched by infrastructure investment. The second one is distance. So connectivity issues and increased transportation costs and impaired labor mobility. And the last one is the division. So limited access to basic services and economic opportunities among informal settlers. Okay, so now let's proceed with this one. City competitiveness is an important part of successful urbanization. So because it creates jobs, raises productivity, and increases people wages. So they need to be inclusive and sustainable. They should have good land use management and strong institutions. Okay, so according to the United Nations, projected half of the world's population would live in urban areas at the end of 2017, but by 2050, about 64% of the developing world and 86% of the developed world will be urbanized. So approximately 3 billion urbanites by 2050, which is Africa and Asia. Okay, so Guangzhou, China. So it is one of the most populous city in the world. Okay, so a city of 12.7 million people is one of the 8 adjacent metropolis located in the largest single agglomeration on earth, ringing the Pearl River of Delta, China. Next, we have also the Mumbai, India, the most populous city in India and the 10th most populous city in the world. So with a total metropolitan area population of approximately 23.9 million. So that's how Mumbai, India, very populous, a lot of people living. Okay, so now we have the 10th most populous city in the Philippines. The first one is the Quezon City. Second one is the Manila City, which has also 2 million people. Next, Caloocan City, Davao City, Cebu City, Zamboanga City, Antipolo, Pasig, Taguig City, and lastly, the Valenzuela City. And the 10 most populous city in the world. So number 1, the Mumbai, India. Okay, next is the Guangzhou, China. The third one is the Tokyo, Japan. Next is Lagos, Nigeria. Delhi, India. Sao Paulo, Brazil. New York, USA. Beijing, China. Karachi, Pakistan. And Shanghai, China.
Urban development. We have here it is a technical and political process concerned with the use of land and design of the urban developed environment, including transportation networks to guide and ensure the orderly development of settlement and communities. To sustainable development, it was introduced by IUCN in 1970s. WCED, or the World Commission on Environment and Development, responsible for compiling reports. It is the development that meets the needs of the generation without jeopardizing the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So here are the rule of the LGU on sustainable development. So the LGU on June 1990, EC Green Paper on the Urban Environment, and EC Policy on the urban areas, focusing attention to issues relevant to developing sustainable cities. So on November 1990, Town and Development dedicated to promoting the linking of local authorities and NGOs between countries of the North and South to improve the quality of urban management. So here are the ways on how we segregate the garbages. So we have the solid waste management, we have the air pollution, hazardous industrial waste. The economic effect of urban development is as cities develop, effects can include a dramatic increase and change in cost, labor, and other necessities. The drive for rapid urban growth and often efficiency can lead to less equitable urban development. And the rapid increase of migrant employees, both skilled and unskilled. Well, we have also here the positive effect of urban development. So, reduction of expenses in transportation while improving opportunities for jobs, education, housing, and transportation. Living in cities permits individuals and families to take advantage of the opportunities of proximity and diversity. And cities have greater variety of market and goods than rural areas. So we have also here the environmental effect of urban development. The existence of urban heat islands. It is formed when industrial and urban areas produce and retain heat. Much of the solar energy that reaches rural areas is consumed by evaporation of water from vegetation and soil. In cities, there is less vegetation. Most energy is instead absorbed by building and asphalts. So vehicles, factories, and industrial releases even more heat, damaging of water marine ecosystem due to chemical washing when raining. Heat and social effect of urban development. It increases in mortality from non-communicable diseases associated with lifestyle. Higher risk of obesity than lower risk of malnutrition. Fast food is often a food of choice. Body mass index and cholesterol level increases. Other diseases like HIV, hepatitis are mostly predominant also due to lifestyle. We have also the changing forms. Most of the urban poor in developing countries unable to find work can spend their lives in insecure, poorly paid jobs. So the most important class conflict in the poor countries of the world today is not between labor and capital. It is between foreign and natural interests. So that ends our report for today. Thank you and God bless.